Beavis. Check it out.
Hello, and welcome back to the library. God, it's about time to get back. In 1998, video games and television enthusiasts got a sneak peek of their two hobbies combined during an E3 video presentation. Buried in the footage was a shot of cartoon legends Beavis and Butt-head running through an old western-looking town. It was marked Beavis and Butt-head in Hollywood, and was intended to be a follow-up to their movie Beavis and Butt-head Do America. After several game publications discussed the material, including screenshots of game locations not present in the video, everything seemed to go quiet. Multiple sources confirmed that one of the main gameplay elements was controlling what the characters could say and do, a feature rightfully compared to their fellow talkie Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. The game's biggest press was a giant 2-page article with one particular amusing asset. Despite the now known screenshots and mostly known game features, the featured artwork is from a completely unrelated game. That credit goes to the GT Interactive PC game Beavis and Butt-head Do You, which was released for the PC in early 1999. While using another game's art asset to complement an upcoming game's announcement isn't unheard of, it did reveal just how little there was to work with at the time. Fans waited and waited some more until it was discovered the game was quietly cancelled. As the years flew past, many hardcore fans kept the dream alive by tracking down members of the publishing team, even having conversations with them about the situation. Sadly, the game seemed lost to time. Until December 22nd, 2025 rolled around. I was having a typical day off work when I went to collect the mail, only to discover a media mailer envelope among the usual ads and bills. I hadn't ordered anything, which was the first clue that something was off. But the way the envelope was addressed was also weird. There were two addresses, one handwritten on the envelope's pre-printed lines, and then the address on the computer-printed postage. I tore open the mailer to find a single disc with the phrase BB 11-1998 written on it, and a handwritten note that simply asked, "Hey Jason, is this one in your collection yet? Santa." More on that situation at the end of the segment, but when I booted the disc up, it turned out to be Beavis and flippin' Butt-head. Well, yeah, I went full geek mode, so let's get into it. The game's plot revolves around Beavis and Butt-head being screwed out of their paychecks for the Do America movie, since the studio sent the checks to their parents' houses. Now, in the real world, this would be a 10-minute fix, but here in the game world, we need an adventure. To make up for the lost funds, our dynamic dimwits take on part-time jobs across the movie lot, studios, and backlots. Their adventure begins from their parked trailer home in the backlot of the main studio, lovingly in the filthiest corner. This entire first stage is a tutorial mission, but with the tutorial itself missing, so I can fill you in. The game is divided into main missions and bonus missions. From the built-in stage select, the main missions are on the left, while the bonus missions are on the right. Note that on the disk file system, the front end, or title screen, has its files in the bonus stage folder. I'll take this moment to prepare you for some disappointment. For the main stages, only backlot, sci-fi, and paparazzi work. All of the bonus stages load, but the entire game is merely an exploration adventure. But more on that later. Let's jump into backlot. Starting here, the duo must find their way to the first soundstage. Backlot acts as a tutorial mission, allowing players to practice jumping, headbanging, and item usage techniques. There are no on-screen prompts programmed, but it's pretty straightforward how to advance. We'll start by getting our hero out of their enclosure. First, use the jump button to collect the nachos on top of the trailer and the building's venting system. Nachos provide a small amount of health regeneration in the prototype, but the early access photos reveal them as a collectible, likely for free lives. Both characters have 3 lives and a health bar, and so long as you don't punch each other or get near the animals, you'll stay alive. Once freed from the first lot, running to the left will allow you to jump on top of the dumpster and over the fence. The dumpster can be headbutted for smoking damage, but nothing pops out of it. As players approach the next area, this was likely for teaching about the power-ups in the game. Further back is a hot dog item, which can be picked up and thrown with the cross button. A meter shows how long the hot dog lasts. Players can use them to knock off 2 of the 3 bottles here, but the third one on the right can't quite be reached. It can be smashed by jumping off the other character's head and then punched. Looking to the left, there's a guard dog here and a fence that needs to be opened. To do that, we'll have one work the way up the back left of the building, but be careful because the camera goes all wacky here. Once dropped down, you can spot a nacho out of bounds to the bottom of the screen and a pesky guard dog. Now, climb back up and head towards the fenced-in area from the rooftop. Drop down on top of it to reach the back alleyway. Here, you have 2 paths, straight ahead and left. Go straight into the dead end for a funny item. If you switch to Beavis, head over to the floating coffee and then jump off of Butt-head to reach it. This will turn Beavis into Cornholio, like an invincibility item. But how it was used, we'll never know, as it runs out before you can run into anything. Head back down to the intersection and head left. There's a nacho behind the right side alcove, the soda machine, a boot in the box, and the security guard to contend with. The soda makes you burp, and the boot can be used to literally kick the guard. Once he starts running in circles, you can touch the back door to end the level. However, it will crash the game if you choose continue, so press new level instead. Godzilla is our first missing stage in the game. This one currently doesn't have any lore or information tied to it, so we'll have to move on. The next stage would have been Western, but it also doesn't load here on the prototype. While missing from the experience, it is at least a known entity. One of the first stages ever revealed to the world, as seen in early press briefings. New Level founder Russ Patterson, who led the design team, explained the stage. It was inspired by the famous movie location Spahn Ranch from the 1950s, which later became the stomping ground of Charles Manson. It would have started on the ground level, with Beavis being triggered into Cornholio mode via the power-ups and then running across the rooftops. With that out of the way, we can jump to Sci-Fi, the next actual working stage. This was likely a boss fight. The alien flies around with its drill arms poking at you, which you can get hurt and hit. Each of the 4 monitors can be headbutted. One gives you batteries to throw, but they don't do any damage to the alien. Likely, the glitchy orange door in the back left would eventually open, leading to either an elevator or a staircase bringing you to the higher floors. I can see this being a chase sequence. That's all there is here, unless you trigger the camera mode, but we'll save that for the end. From here, Tar Pits is also a black screen, sadly. Files for it are on the disk, and we'll get to that later on. Next up would have been Hollywood, but that also bleeds to a black screen. Files for it are on the disk, but we at least have this incredible anecdote from Russ. The Hollywood level was actually designed to be a stage in and of itself on the actual sign. They were intended to act as animal wranglers trying to capture the NBC peacock which had escaped, and they would use the backs of the sign to act as the platforms and so forth. As they were chasing the NBC peacock, a California earthquake would happen and the letters would start falling down one by one, meaning you have to jump off the letters to get to the next one before being crushed. Eventually, once you reach the end, the camera pans around and all you would see are the letters wood, to which then the characters would giggle and say, it says wood. They had to turn it off, even though it might still be on the disc, because the GT Interactive's legal team thought it might have been a legal issue, and sure enough, when they looked it up, the Hollywood sign is copyrighted, and the owners wanted 15% royalties, which was going to be more than what New Level Software was going to make from the deal, so they had to turn it off. It was Russ's favorite level, and it got killed by illegality. With all that said, I guess having the Hollywood stage was a bad sign.
Shut up. Maybe if we close our eyes and pretend he's a chick.
Next up, paparazzi. Here, the goal is photography to gain access to the building. You can pick up 2 camera rolls and 1 nacho. If you pick up the camera roll, the cross button becomes a take a photo button. There's two models walking around the pool area and will pause if you wait long enough in front of them. For the hotel, it was likely designed to be a Donkey Kong-like platform run, thanks to the ladders and floors looking like platforms. A silly little bit of fun can be had here. While the ladder interactivity isn't programmed, running into the right leg of the right side ladder will cause the player to phase into it, and the game will slowly glitch them all the way up to the top of the ladder. If you jump just before you hit the top, you can actually make it to the topmost floor. It is possible to get stuck in the wall, so be careful here. Alright, that's all for paparazzi. Let's head to the bonus rounds. First up, Hog Roundup. Here on the farm are a variety of interactive items, but none seem to be finished. From the starting point, walking through the field will cause bees to leave their hives. To the far right, there is a corn maze that takes you to a soda machine, a couple of chickens, a huge pig, and then a single nacho. There is a second nacho on the far left side hiding behind the trailer. If you punch the pig, it attacks and chases you. If you're able to navigate it out of the corn maze, it will take a break at the other food trough, and then retrace its step back to its original spot. It's not clear what purpose the bees or the chickens serve, but there was likely something else to do with the mud puddle texture near the corn maze. After that, we're at Mule Roundup. Mule Roundup is another farm soundstage, with bleachers, a large empty area in the back, and a very, very angry mule. Trying to interact with it will get you kicked back a few feet. It, however, can be kicked, and then it moves to another location, but it's not always consistent. Curiously, trying to climb the bleachers behind the donkey will cause barrels to fall from the sky. They glitch into the floor, but if you're at just the right angle, you can be punched one for it to explode. Otherwise, there's not much else here. Here in Goat Roundup, this one looked like it'd be pretty funny. A suite of cow milking machines with actively swinging pumps is strewn about the stage. A lone goat stands among them, but likely there would have been more in the fenced-off area in the middle of the stage. If you jump up on one of the milk storage units, you can actually reach the upper left platform and then walk the whole path around the facility. There are some really interesting sights, including a floating anvil, a giant red lever, and the hallway of impaled farming equipment. I would love to know what that was about. Next up is the mansion. The mansion is the last great big stage with some of its puzzles in mid-development. I'll leave the tour for the end of the video, but there are several points of interest here. In the kitchen you'll find two infinitely spinning glitched items, with a member of the house in the room to the far left. Upstairs there are 3 dogs that will attack you and murder you if you're not careful, with 3 floating books in the library. These were likely going to be items to use possibly on the dogs. 2 parrots will try to attack you in the pool room, but it's the weight room that has some interactivity. A weight trainer is blocking the door to the bedroom, and while you can get past him, he does throw carrots and dumbbells at you. If you pick up the boot power-up, you can kick him a few times to get him to stop, allowing you to safely pass and explore the last room of the mansion. The bedroom is complete with a heart-shaped bed and a torture rack. The last few levels to visit are empty, but still worth a peek. First off, Golf Cart. We could have had a contained driving stage here, perhaps even a demolition derby. There's only the fence, our heroes, and the 2 golf carts to get in and ride around. If you start driving and your partner gets near you, you can knock them on their ass and run them down. For boxing, it's a simple boxing ring with a crowd of people looking on. I really love the lighting tricks used on the ring. Sadly, aside from leaping out and running in a circle, there's not much to do here. I do find it odd that the crowd walls look more like they'd be in a home in a medieval dungeon and not a boxing ring. It's a peculiar design choice. Finally is Krika. What was likely the final boss stage, or at least the last bonus stage. It's a cavern with a giant middle stage area, likely where the enemy would have been standing. It's possible to actually walk out and around the area, but just be careful. It's just background decor, and you can also just walk off the stage and fall to the abyss, never to be seen again. I thought this stage was originally going to be a reference to perhaps Lord of the Ring, but in the game's programming files, it's literally called Star Trek. So at least we know where the inspiration for it came from. And that's the entire prototype. I saved my personal favorite part for last, and that's camera mode. While Beavis and Butthead was designed to be a two-player co-op game, the second player isn't correctly implemented. If you try, player 1 just controls both characters in tandem, with the second character mirroring your movements except for jumping. If you actually use the second controller, though, it becomes a full-on camera mode like a modern-day video game. You can move, pan, slide, rotate, and more. It's how I got the nice close-ups for this video. I'll have the full manual for movements on the website article. Funny enough, you can also use the camera mode to fully explore outside the levels as well and see where some items are hiding just in plain sight. As a final note, if the prototype is ever released, hackers and modders have a place to start. While messing around with a Game Shark to understand why the other levels wouldn't load, I discovered a peculiar issue. If you try using the method to hack a level select code, a pattern forms at 2 memory addresses. Each level is assigned a number, and this number appears at both memory addresses. If you're playing Backlot, it's 00. If you're playing Krika, it's 0F. With the broken stages, the first address never updates. It stays locked to the title screen's assigned digit of 0C. I'm not sure if this is a typo in the code or if the issue lies in the loading of data. However, it is the same error across all 4 missing stages. Changing both numbers of a glitched stage to match will either crash the level you're on, or it will boot you to the next available stage. That led to a discovery, a literal missing entry. After assigning all 15 stages, including the title screen, the digits 03 have nothing tied to them. There is no matching file in the game's stage folders either. If you assign the 03 to both the memory addresses and load, it sends you to Paparazzi, which is stage 04. It might be possible to get the missing stages to load using this as a starting point, but that's beyond my skills. However, I wouldn't be me if I didn't give modders and hackers a place to start if the prototype is released. In my email communication with Russ, he said that if one knew what they were doing, the missing 4 stages can be recovered. For what it's worth, there's also a file on the disk that acts like a table of contents. There are several typos at the bottom of the programming with some very lengthy development timers set up. In loading it with ChatGPT, it basically said that certain things could be changed to a retail version. And while I did try it and reburn the ISO to a CDR, it just wouldn't boot. I don't know what I'm doing with any of this. Also, I did find some interesting locations with the Game Shark, which I have on the website to check out. All of these things combined might be able to get the 4 missing stages up and running. Finally, Beavis and Butthead's soundtrack plays as one long feed. The same song starts each level, and if you allow it by just standing there, it will run its entire course through all 6 or 7 songs, and then all the voiceover clips. The game disc contains a music folder with several bin tracks, which are the songs, but only one bin is listed in the cue sheet. It should be possible to rebuild the cue sheet with the complete set of tracks and bins so the soundtrack plays correctly. But again, out of my league. There's also the angle of infinite health, lives, and item unlocking codes with the Game Shark. I was able to hack infinite health and lives for the boys in Backlot, but the game would hard lock every time you try and use them, or if you're using it at the same time. They also don't carry over to other stages. While you really don't need the health or lives since you can just reset the stage, someone better adept at hacking might potentially find more items that are visibly present in the game. And there we have it, guys. A long-lost game finally gets most of its time in the limelight. Before I close out this video, there are 2 last anecdotes to share. Our Secret Santa went out of their way to conceal their identity. The UPS label was tied to the retail store where the label was purchased. The handwritten address was listed as M. Judge, aka Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead. I unfortunately missed that clue because the handwriting was so small I read it as M. Judy the first time. However, The handwritten address was 12394 Sunny Lane, as in December 3rd, 1994, the launch of the Sony PlayStation in Japan. They knew who they were sending it to, and I am completely respecting their privacy. Not just because, first, this is one of the coolest things to ever happen to me, but second, I really like getting prototypes for free to discuss with you, and I ain't fucking that up. The other anecdote is meant to give everyone here a hope for its release. While I don't have permission to release it, this isn't the first time I've had the opportunity to work with an MTV license. I was able to bring you Aeon Flux a few years back, and that did get released. I should also point out that every time I've been given a prototype to cover, it's been through a proxy. I have never known who the owner is. This was the first time where even the proxy was an unknown entity. I will say though, if this is how 2026 is going to be, it's going to be a wild ride. I'm here for any questions. Check out the site page for more information, the controls, and more than I could do here in the video. As an aside, I'm still in email communications with Russ, so if he has any more information, I'll likely just add to the web page or do it as a social media post so I don't have to do a second video. If you like what you saw, come back and hang out with me in the Discord, check out my Patreon, and read up on variants on PlayStation Library. Stay safe out there, play games, and know I'm here when you need me. Stay safe.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Dude, hit me in the face.
There was no society apart with fear. They spread their lies. When will you people realize? Reducing our rights. They're taxing the lights. They keep taking more and more. The more laws they make, the freedoms they take. What else do they have in store? Control the TV news, the shameless tactics that they use. They'll take us all to hell. Before that, I will stand and yell.
I think this must be like the bonus round.
You know, right from the start, they rip society apart with fear. They spread their lies.
No words can express how totally cool this is.
Reducing our rights, they're taxing the lights. They keep taking more and more. The more laws they make, the freedoms they take. What else do they have in store? Control the TV news, the Command and control, economy slows, and watch the government grow. The people don't scare, it's breeding despair. We're sinking so very low. Ideas are old, respect they have stalled. Their coffers are filled with gold. The communist ways, the road that they paved. We need to escape their You know, right from the start, they ripped society apart with fear. They spread their lies. When will you people realize? Reducing our rights, they're taxing the lives. They keep taking more and more. The more laws they make, the freedoms they take. You know, right from the start, they ripped society apart with fear. They spread their lies. When will you people realize? Reducing our rights, they're taxing the lives. They keep taking more and more. The more laws they make, the freedoms they take. What else do they have in store? Control the TV news, the shameless tactics that they use. You know, right from the start, they ripped society apart with fear. They spread their lies. When will you people realize? Reducing our rights, they're taxing the lives. They keep taking more and more. The more laws they make, the freedoms they take. What else do they have in store? Control
I think this must be like the bonus round.
the shameless tactics
Bonus.
that they use. They'll take